performance, so I'm happy with it.
Obviously, it was a quick fight, but what was the game plan coming into the fight?
I knew he was a heavy striker, a boxer, and I know those the Polynesian people. They're tough people, and so I know he was willing to bang. But I'm here to win, and I'm here to win the easiest way possible, and that's with wrestling. These guys, I know they skip wrestling practice. I'm wrestling every single day, and I'm going to use that in my advantage.
I'm going to go out and say you're one of the best heavyweight prospects in the country right now. So you do have a couple options, right? Like,
yeah.
Do you want to fight for the LFA heavyweight title, or are you kind of looking past that?
I mean, I want to get to the UFC as fast as possible, but I know I'm going to get there one way or the other. So I'm letting the chips fall how they will, and if I got to fight for the LFA title, it is what it is. But I want to go to the UFC.
And with you being such a dominant heavyweight, man, like, can you kind of talk about like what makes you different from these other guys?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these heavyweights, they grew up being heavyweights, and I've always been the small guy. I wrestled 126 my freshman year of high school, and I grew up being the small guy, learning how to wrestle like a small guy. And throughout, when I got older, that's when I gained more weight, but the speed never left, and the small guy techniques never went away. And so I'm here to use that against these big guys. You got these so-called wrestlers, sambo guys, they don't move like me. And so I'm here to prove it.
And four finals for me. Obviously, there's always the Dagestani wrestling, American wrestling.
Yeah.
Are you here to bring back American wrestling?
Yes, I'm here to bring it back. American wrestling. American wrestling is far superior than Dagestani wrestling. They wrestle the easy style of freestyle. We wrestle American wrestling, that's folk style. We got to hold people down when they don't want to be, against their will. We got to wrestle top and bottom, and that's no joke, especially in college wrestling. It's a game changer. From freestyle to me is easy. Anybody could wrestle on their feet. So I'm here to prove, and there's just not a lot of wrestlers that are transitioning over. I mean, there's more now, especially, but not in the heavyweight division. And so I'm here to prove that I'm not just a heavyweight wrestler. My wrestling is up there with Daniel Cormier and those type of guy. And I want to even say I even have better control than that. I'm more of a Khabib type style, where I get on top of you. I'm not letting you up.
I love what you're saying, as far as especially the ideology of being the smaller man and having that style.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you, Josh, how much are you up to date with history of combat sports? Because you were saying all the right things, from strikers like Tyson, who had a success with a smaller style. You've seen a lot of grapplers and MMA, jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Big guys have success with that smaller style.
Yeah.
And in our sport, we've seen guys from Fedor to Randy Couture,
Yeah.
guys who can wrestle. They weren't necessarily the biggest guys,
Yeah.
but they were athletic. They had a lot of those intangibles that you have. Is that something you're aware of, the history and how you kind of match it up?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people can't, if you're not 6'5" and 285, they think you can't fight heavyweight at 230. I mean, if you have the right strategy, the right tactics, fast, you got the wrestling, you got the right moves, you got cardio. I mean, those are far more superior than just strength and power. And so I'm going to use that against them all the way to the top until someone stops it, and I don't think they can.
Awesome, and I love what I'm seeing, and obviously you have a background. There's a lot of pieces that go into the puzzle that you present. But I got to ask you from the football perspective, not just with heavyweights. We see a lot of football heavyweights maybe come in with a lot of hype, and then they don't necessarily fare too well. Do you have an opinion on that and how you intend to make it different?
Yeah, I mean, football is a terrible base for MMA. I'm not just a football player. I just happen to play football. I grew up wrestling since I was 4, and I did football as a side job. Luckily, I was good at it. I ended up playing running back in college, so I was pretty athletic to be able to play running back in college. But I mean, you don't see football tactics out here. What am I gonna? I'm just gonna spear them, like I tackle them. You can't score, you can't hurdle, you can't juke in MMA. And so I'm using that athleticism that I gained from football, but it's a good combination with a wrestling background.
Awesome. And last one for me. Obviously, you got a strong team behind you, and we talked about a little bit about combat sports history. But is there anybody, whether it's coaches, someone you train with, or fighters of the past that you look up to, whether or not you're modeling your game or not necessarily, but you look up to for inspiration?
Yeah, I mean, all the guys that came out of Jackson Wink in the beginning, like, I like studying GSP and what made him good. All the guys, John Jones, got to train with him a little bit. I'm just a fan of mixed martial arts, and I'm a fan of winners. And so, if you're winning, I want to study your game plans and why you are successful. So, because the name of the game is being consistent, and so, I mean, that's 2 performances now. And if you look at my fights, there was one third round finish, and then the next one was at the end of the first round. The other one was at 250 or 230. This one's under a minute. It's like I'm evolving at a rapid pace, and that's the difference between me and these other guys. And it comes with studying the film and seeing what was successful, and really look at myself in the mirror and understanding I'm not going to be John Jones and doing all of his lengthy. I don't got a 85-inch reach. I'm 6'4", so I probably got to study more guys like Daniel Cormier. And so, yeah, I'm realistic with myself, and that's how I'm evolving at a rapid pace, because I'm studying the film.
From being
Okay, just one for me. Obviously, you mentioned there your UFC aspirations. Given the current state of the heavyweight division in the UFC, you see a guy like yourself that possesses that athleticism, the speed, the wrestling, for the perfect time for you to make waves and just kind of crash in the
I think the UFC's cutting all these heavyweights, making room for me. So they haven't seen anybody like me since maybe Daniel Cormier, and he's retired MMA legend. And so if I'm being compared to a legend, so it's like, put me in the UFC already, if I had that type of skill set. And so, yeah, I want to be in the UFC, and I don't see the fights going any different than how it went tonight. At some point, I'm going to take you down, and I found out I can wobble someone with my jab. That's dangerous now. So I might start believing in my hands a little bit more. But I train like a Hamzat Chimaev type style, where I'm trying to get after you. I'll play it slow in the beginning, but man, I prepare for 15 minutes of a war. And so I don't think anybody in the UFC is training like how I'm training. So it's just a matter of time.
I know obviously you aspire to go to the top for that UFC belt, get whoever's at the top. But are there any guys along the way that you really want to fight in particular? Any certain names that you want to go to?
Yeah, I want Jailton Almeida. I could see myself facing him, and I could see that being a matchup, because we are smaller heavyweights, and he is a jiu-jitsu background, but with a wrestling type of jiu-jitsu. I see guys like that maybe being able to compete a little bit, just because they're athletic as well. Yeah, I mean, whoever is in my way and whoever's in the rankings, I'm coming for them. Like, it's a matter of time. I'm coming to take everything from them.
Yeah, I was going to bring up Jailton as a perfect example, just kind of giving your guys a smaller size compared to some of the bigger guys.
Yeah.
So if that fight were to get booked in one day, theoretically, how do you see that going? You just don't see it. Do you see like him not being able to get out of your pressure at all?
I mean, I'm gonna eventually take him down, and I'm not playing jiu-jitsu. I'm coming with a college wrestling, American style wrestling style. When I get up, or when I get on top, it's over for him. There's gonna be blood in his arms, and even if he's athletic enough to get up, blood's in his arms now. Let's strike a little bit. Like I'm preparing for that type of fight. So, yeah.
It's 4-0 now, transitioning from being a lifelong wrestler, athlete. Do you feel like you're becoming a mixed martial artist?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, just the amount of work I'm putting in. I eat, sleep, train, breathe freaking MMA. So I'm studying this game. I'm trying to evolve at a rapid pace, and I'm not satisfied until I am the world champion. And then we're going for legacy, and I could freaking have enough money to live off for the rest of my life. My family's taken care of. That's the goal. And I got close to that with the NFL, and I'm not going to let it slip through my hands again. So that's the mentality.
What does 42 seconds say to the rest of the division?
I hope it makes a statement. I hope they. I mean, I thought I made a statement my last fight, and then it's guys like. I mean, I got to give credit to Zeke. What's his name? Zeke Loftu, whatever his name. I mean, you watch the film and you want to accept a fight of that type of caliber of an athlete, and I want people to second guess, like, oh, do you want to fight this guy? I want him to turn on the tape and be like, let's just wait. Let's be smarter about it. This ain't a good matchup. Like, I just hope it made that type of statement.
Last thing, how good did that jab feel?
Yeah, I mean, it hit him and it bounced right off his face, and his eyes were crossing. He didn't. It looked like the life got taken out of him right there. And then I took him down, and it almost felt like he wanted me to choke him, honestly. And that's just what happens when you face adversity. The real man comes out. So if you want a little bit of pain makes you surrender, you probably shouldn't be fighting.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Good to go?
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yep. Yep.
Thank you.
Get you a flag?